Scouts for that presentation of the colors. And thank you, choir, for the national anthem. Now we will turn the time over to Bud Zoll, a veteran at Vietnam.
Good morning, Corner Canyon Chargers. I'm Betty Ray Zoll, former sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, reporting his duty. We live by a code called Semper Fidelis. Have you heard of that? Semper Fidelis means always faithful to God and country. I'm proud to be a Vietnam veteran that came back alive from Vietnam in a horrible war, when 58,000 of my fellow soldiers died in that awful war, died for our freedom. I'm proud to be an American, my friends, in the greatest country on the planet of this earth, on this planet Earth, the Promised Land. Though it's not perfect, it is the greatest country on earth. All you have to do is go to other countries to find out that that's true. It is the Promised Land. I'm proud to be a Corner Canyon fan. I still have two fabulous grandkids that are here, Kiana Gonzalez and Tice Bowman. Love them. Shout out to them. Okay. It's fun and it's a privilege to be here to talk to Corner Canyon students. And I honor your talent, your athletic and academic programs. And I love what you've done already and what you've done in the past. You've taken state in golf. You got all kinds of other championships coming. How about that? I'm really privileged to talk about today veterans as we celebrate today as Veterans Day. What is a vet? A vet is a person who has served in the military, Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force, or Coast Guard. A vet is a patriot. A patriot is one who loves their country and is willing to sacrifice their life for it. Now you will see some videos of some patriots in just a little while. I honor them, respect them, and you need to say thank them for their service and give them a hoorah, okay? Hoorah. Thank you. Now it's important to know that every soldier's life counted who died for this country, as they were loved and they were missed and they gave their lives for the United States of America. Did you know in World War I, fighting for our country, 116,516 patriots died. Did you know in World War II, 405,319 patriots died? Did you know in the Korean War, for this country, fighting, 36,516 patriots died? Did you know in the war I went to, Vietnam, 58,209 amazing soldiers and patriots died for this country? Did you know that Iraq and Afghanistan soldiers who fought for our freedom and for this country, 7,054 died in the sacrifice for this great country? All of these, my friends, were Americans with a life to live, but they gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. I was one of the lucky ones that returned home. After big prayers in a bunker, I was able to have my life preserved to come back and enjoy this amazing country in America. And I thank every day this country. I thank every day God, and I thank every day for the vets that have gone before and those that are standing tall to protect us every day, to protect you and I as we sit here today to keep the enemy from invading and taking our freedoms away. Now this is a special day for me and my family and my wife, Bonnie, sitting here. On this day, we will always remember a special young man, a Utah boy named Aaron Butler. Aaron Butler became our godson. I have a picture of him right here. See that? Oh, a picture of me with my M60. And while I was in Vietnam, my wife and I served with Aaron Butler on a mission for the church in Africa, where Aaron was a young missionary. One day in a chaotic city in Africa where millions of people were running and trying to figure out how to survive in poverty and chaos. We asked Aaron Butler, do you think these people know what their mission and their purpose is in life? And Aaron was quick to announce, without hesitation, he said, I know what my mission and purpose is. I was born to be a soldier and to defend this country. Aaron, when he got off his mission, went on to get in the Army. And he got in Special Forces into Green Berets. We watched him grow to the top of his class. Remembering that Green Beret song, do you recall it? 100 men will test today, top men, but only 3 will wear the Green Beret. Training was brutal. Aaron made it. He was what they call the tip of the spear, the fighting best. Aaron, who loved this country, was deployed to Afghanistan, and while in a firefight with the enemy, he was wounded and killed, KIA. Sergeant Aaron lived by the Green Beret creed. These brave men are America's best, men who fight and mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret. Aaron, my brother Aaron, is a patriot, and we miss him dearly. Now I know all you Corner Canyon Chargers are all patriots. I saw you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I saw you all stand and sing. I watch you be proud of America. I know you will be part of the great healing process that's needed in our country, especially right now, to unite this great country of the United States of America. You hear me? I know you understand that you are free because of the brave. The brave protect us every day, and we don't even know it during our sleep. You have freedom to speak openly your opinion. You have freedom to be what you want to be. You have freedom to love who you want to love. You have freedom to worship how you want to worship. You have freedom to live the law of the land and God's law for happiness and freedom, and you will have freedom if you're not ready to vote when you're 18 years old. I know you will never forget these freedoms, and I know that's why you're here, celebrating Veterans Day with me and all these great vets. It makes me proud, and I salute you for your patriotism, all of you. Now, I want to end with some words of a favorite guy of ours, Lee Greenwood. He was one that Aaron Butler, our godson, really loved his songs, and he actually wrote, before he died, a script to me from Iraq, where he cited these words of the song that you've heard, where this is what was so important to him as a great patriot to our country. The words say, I'm proud to be an American, for at least I know I am free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you, and you, and you, and you, and defend her still today, because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless this USA. Would you all stand with me as we sing this song? Are we ready? Are we ready? May have to sing without it. Okay. Our technical department, come on. they're telling me we have technical difficulties. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to tell you what the bottom line of that song is, and you can remember it and sing it if you want to. Ready? That I'm proud to be an American. For at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the man who died and gave that right to me. And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause what? There ain't no doubt. This land. USA! God bless our necks! God bless Hurricane! Oh, we got it! Whoa! This is better. I knew they could do it.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. And thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm glad we stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me. And I'm glad we stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Corner Canyon, Charger, and God bless America, and Semper Fi. Bless you all.
Thank you, Batzel, for his message. Now on to the veterans video.
We observe today a celebration of freedom.
The day America sets aside to honor millions of our finest heroes. They are the men and women who defend our country and preserve our peace and freedom. Each time our nation is called upon our citizens to serve, the best have come forward. Where do we get such brave young Americans? We can and should take the opportunity on this Veterans Day to remember their gift to us. Veterans know better than anyone else the price of freedom. where they've suffered the scars of war. All those who served in America's uniform deserve the nation's thanks. Words could never express what the patriotism of generation after generation of American heroes means for the very soul of our nation. Because of you, America's best days are still to come. And with faith, freedom, and courage, there's no limit what America can and will accomplish.
The graves of young Americans who answered the call to service around the globe. They called to bear the burden, a struggle against the common enemies of man. United, there is little we cannot do. Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and the success of liberty.
Throughout our history, America's men in uniform have always been ready when the cause of freedom called, and they've never let us down. Our most recent heroes, those still serving, carried on with the same dedication and valor as their colleagues before them. If we remember that their dedicated service is in defense of our freedom, and if we understand that they put their lives on the line so we might enjoy justice and liberty, then their sacrifices will not be in vain. This is our obligation, and this has been the spirit of Veterans Day from the beginning.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
I'm Scott Monson. I served in the United States Navy from 67 or 71, depending on how you count, until 1976, active. And then I was in the reserves for a few years, and the highest rank I attained was commander, which is like a lieutenant colonel in the Army or Marines. I was in Annapolis, Maryland for 4 years of school, and then I was in Vietnam. I went to a nuclear power training school, 6 months of classroom and 6 months of prototype training. And then I served on the USS Enterprise, Starship Enterprise, for about a year at the end of the Vietnam War. And then I transferred to the East Coast, to Newport News, Virginia, where we were building a nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser called the USS South Carolina. And I served on that until I left active duty in 1976. When I was on the aircraft carrier, the football, we played football on the flight deck. Flight deck is 1,100 feet long and about 150, 200 feet wide. So it's 3 football fields, but they keep. We launched planes with catapults that are hydraulically activated by steam, and the catapults have to stay warm all the time so that we're ready for flight operations. And I rolled over one of those catapult things one time and got a bit of a burn on an arm. And the flight deck is pretty. It's not a nice grassy field to play on, but it's pretty interesting. We didn't lose very many balls overboard, so that was fun. Excuse me. In fact, on the way home from Vietnam, we had a distress call from a Greek freighter and sent a helicopter off to investigate. And for some reason, they'd had a fire on board the ship, and we rescued the crew. But we couldn't rescue the ship. I don't know what happened to them, what caused the fire, but we had some civilians travel with us from the middle of the Pacific to Hawaii, where we sent them to wherever their next destination was. When they do land, as soon as they feel the wheels touch, as soon as they feel touchdown, they go to full power. So that if they do miss, if the hook if it bounces and doesn't catch the wire, they have enough energy to take off and go around and try again. So it's so they slow down to to match, you know, to match the speed and get into a landing speed like you would on any airport. They slow down to land, but then as soon as they touch ground, they go to full power, and so they have enough capability and speed to get away. Well, service is important. I mean, we all serve each other, or we disserve each other. We're bullies, or we're helpful. We're kind, or we're cruel. And I think service teaches us to be kind, teaches us to know that we're not completely independent of anyone else or everyone else. And so serving is the element to cooperation.
My name is Jake Lamborn. I served in the United States Navy in 1938. At that time, right after World War II, you had to, all 18-year-olds, even though the war was over with, you had to serve at least a year in the service, so that in the event that we were engaged in another war, we'd be ready. And so I was just 18, and I joined the Navy. If you joined a branch of the service, you could pick your own branch. And if you didn't pick your branch, then they'd pick it for you, and it'd usually be the Army. So I joined the Navy. Spent 1 year to the day. I served in boot camp in San Diego, and then I was assigned to the USS Boxer CV-21, and I was on board the Boxer aircraft carrier for, I think, 6 months. And then I was transferred off to a small seaplane tender. Well, the Boxer was an aircraft carrier, and it had a big old slow roll to it as it was going along, and you kind of got, after a few days, you got so sick of that roll that you had to stand close by the edge of the ship and feed the fish, because we were throwing up all the time. And then when I got on that little seaplane tender, instead of it having that big easy roll, it was bucking all the time. It was just a small ship. So I had to get used to that all over again. And that's terrible. That's terrible sickness, seasickness. But you finally get used to it. In preparation for release from the service. Well, when we were on board ship, we just made several trips up and down the coastline from San Diego to San Francisco. And then the ship had to go into dry dock to be rehabbed. And so everyone was released off of the ship. I got out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 4:30 I was standing on the highway with my thumb out to get a ride home to Salt Lake. I couldn't get a ride, but I was in uniform, so that was good. And I was home that afternoon.
Good morning. Mel Richens here. What a great opportunity it is to do this for the school. I served in 1969 in the Army in Vietnam until 1971. The neat thing about this is I was married while I was serving in the service at that time. I was 20 years old when I got drafted. And after basic training and my advanced infantry training. But as far as, I don't know exactly where to go with this, but as far as my experience in the service, I have no regrets at all of serving my country. In fact, I was proud to serve my country. I was in the infantry, which meant, yes, I seen combat. And the infantry unit I was in was located on the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone, which is where no military is supposed to be there, either from North Vietnam or from the South Vietnam, including the Americans or anybody. The DMZ is 5 miles wide. And our mission was more or less to keep the NVA, which was the North Vietnamese Army, from coming down to South Vietnam. And they don't like to get in, like most veterans, don't like to get into the blood and guts of it, but that's just natural. But I had a cousin that lived here in Draper. There was a pilot for a helicopter. He flew a Loach. A Loach is a 2-man helicopter, and it flies real low or real high. It doesn't, and real fast. It doesn't have any guns on it. And what it is to transport people around, or to do reconnaissance, or to take generals or higher brass around to look at stuff. And I was out in the field one day, out in the field meeting, I was on a mission with my company, and he flew in. I didn't even know he was coming. He flew in, and my captain called me up and said, "Do you want to go down to Da Nang for a couple of days?" And my cousins got me in the helicopter, and we jumped in it, and we got up about 1,000 feet high, and he gave me the joystick. And the joystick is how you fly the helicopter. And he gave it to me and said, "Let's see if you can fly this baby." And I said, "I'm game." Of course, I'm 20 years old, why not? And when I came to, he had control of the joystick. His light must have passed right out, because it was doing the tail spin. And that was one of the things I always think about when I tell stories of my service. And when I first got over there, I was in the infantry. It was a mechanized division. Mechanized means we had an armored personnel carrier. And those things that have, they're on tracks. But we didn't do a lot with those. We would ride on top of them, but most of the time we'd walk, because there was a lot of landmines. And landmines, that was one of the biggest things we were scared of, was landmines, because they could blow your legs off or blow the APCs, armored personnel carrier, right over. So you never rode in them, because you wouldn't have a chance to survive. So you rode on top of them. And then, I'm a firm believer when you get out of high school, you got to get away from home. And when I got out of high school back in 1969, that was the Vietnam War. By the time I was a freshman in high school, I figured I'd go into Vietnam. I mean, that's just what we all thought. That's just what, unless you got some kind of a way to beat it, you went. And then my parents and myself, I didn't try to get a deferment from it at all. I just figured I'd serve it as my country wanted me. A lot of people think the Vietnam War was a negative thing. Any war is negative. But at the time, you have to fight communism someplace. And I'd rather fight it in Vietnam than I would in Draper, Utah. And that's just how you have to look at it. Because if you didn't live through those times, it's hard to explain, but the communism was just all over the place. We was always afraid of it coming in. So I have no regrets about serving in the service. In fact, I think it made me a better person for serving. I got, I could do anything when I got home. I felt like I could do anything.
My name is Jason Neff, and I was a private first class in the Army in 1998 to 2000. So I went in the week after I graduated from high school, so I had just barely turned 18 when I joined the Army. I went in the Army, so I'm the third generation military in my family. My grandpa was in the Air Force, my dad was in the Army, I was in the Army. I also used it as an opportunity to be able to pay for school. And so right out of high school, I got accepted to BYU, and I wanted to be able to go to school, and it was a great opportunity to be able to not just serve my country, but to be able to also pay for school. I think, I wasn't in for very long, but one of the things I do remember was just the camaraderie between me and the rest of the people that were in my battalion or my company that I was in. So I was in the infantry, and in the infantry you walk everywhere you go. And that's one of the things that I remember quite a bit was just quite a bit of road marches, quite a bit of opportunities to be able to get out and be in nature, but you're around just a bunch of really good guys who are also serving the country. And so those are probably some of my most memorable moments. Especially coming out of high school, I think the military helped me with a lot of discipline. I learned a lot how to kind of dig down deep and to be able to figure out who I am and what I was made of. Especially in those hard moments, you're either cold or you're hot and sweaty. It's never in those comfortable moments you kind of know who you are. So there were a lot of moments in the military where I was just really, really pushing my limits. But those moments I really think have shaped me into who I am today, being able to bear and grit through things and through adversity and be able to make sure that I can complete things. I think one of the things I want the students at Quarter Canyon to understand about serving is that opportunities like that are great to be able to figure out not just who you are, but to be able to think about something outside yourself. So serving in the military, you're thinking about all the people back home, you're thinking about why you're doing this. You take an oath to be able to defend our country against all evils. And so, one of the things that you're doing as you're serving is you're really putting yourself below other people and making sure that you're not focusing too much on yourself. And so serving was a great way, especially for me, to be able to think outside myself, to think bigger picture about what I want to be able to give back to society and how I can serve not just my family, but everybody back here in America.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Comier, and I'm originally from Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up and went to Olympus High School, and I served in a lot of different places, but most recently I served with a unit in Sacramento, California. I've served for 23 years, I'm still serving, and I started my service in 2001, 1 month before September 11th. In 2009 and 10, I was involuntarily mobilized and deployed with the 96th Sustainment Brigade, which is a local Utah unit. And so at that time, I said goodbye to my wife and my 6 young kids, and I went off to war in Iraq. We were trained on identifying roadside bombs, and I have to say that when I got to Iraq, everything on the side of the road looked like a roadside bomb to me. So it was a dangerous place. And when I got there, initially we were housed in transitory housing on a base known as Baghdad International Airport. And the realities of going to battle and war hit pretty quickly when that very night I was awakened at about 2 in the morning to the sound of 50 caliber rifle fire just outside the gates. I remember when I got to my base, which was Taji, I was on the outskirts of Baghdad. I had a duty to go as a trial counsel for the Sustainment Brigade. So I got on a Black Hawk and I went to Camp Liberty. And when I was at Liberty, I stayed at a place and I met with the commanders and advised them, and then stayed that night, and then the next morning I caught a Black Hawk and I left. That was very fortunate for me that I left that evening, because it was that night that there was an attack on that base at Camp Liberty, and unfortunately there was a soldier that lost his life in that attack. When I first got to my base, I was at night, I heard loud banging noises, and I didn't know whether it was incoming or outgoing artillery. So I just got my body armor on and went to the shelter. And so but this happened every night. And so eventually I just said my prayers and tried to live right. But what was happening is it was actually a firing battery that our firing battery. I just couldn't hear the PA system announcing that it was outgoing artillery. So I was in my room, I was in what we called a CHU, which is a containerized housing unit. And it's basically a trailer. And you sleep in this trailer every night. And every night when those explosions would happen, the trailer would shake a little bit. And so it's kind of, they're all protected by these T-walls, these big cement T-walls that kind of surround all the housing units. So anyway, after a few nights of getting my body armor on and going to the shelter, I finally figured I'm just going to trust in God, and I'm just going to go to sleep and let what happens happen. I would say that young people should be actively involved in their country, that they should not let their rights just sit idle, that they should learn what it means to be an American and the rights that you have as an American citizen, the freedoms that you have, and then to exercise those rights. I think the right to vote is something that we can all do, and that's really important, because that's your say. And some people think it doesn't matter. I disagree. I think just by casting your vote, you're showing that you care about your country. I would say that learn about your other rights, your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion. What do those mean to you? And then practice those and use those in your life, and be proud that you have those rights and that people have suffered and died for those rights, so that you can have those.
Hello, thank you for that video, Beckham. We have some veterans here in the audience. If you're a veteran, will you please stand?